What is up, everybody? As advertised, Michael Langston here to talk about recruiting on the Wake Up Warchant podcast, also a standalone video on YouTube. If they're watching us on YouTube, Michael, what should they do to show some
Oh,
love?
hit the like button always. Got your head coach back. He's
Mm.
staying. Got a great portal class, incredible class. It's a lot of excitement coming off a big year. Hit the like button. I don't know what, whatever reason you need outside of you getting everything. Just our amazing staff, amazing job. Ira and Gene did, Aslan and all our guys. So definitely hit the like button. That's the only request we really have for these things.
How nervous were you, Michael, before we get to talking about recruiting? I was nervous as hell, man. I thought he was gone.
I was I was not thinking he was gone, but I was nervous because I knew the ramifications of what it impacted for my job. So, I mean, from a
Exactly.
personal standpoint. So, and two, I just generally I know all the work they put in to build this to this certain degree, and I felt for a lot of those staff and just people in general of all the stuff they put in. So it was a very chaotic and very nerve wracking 5 days. Just waiting to see if FSU was going to be able to secure their coach, and obviously it worked out good. But I was very nervous. I was very nervous.
All right. Let's start off with the guys in the trenches. Terrence Ferguson. I don't know if he was the first guy to start this sort of avalanche of commits that happened towards the end of last week. But that has really put Florida State in a great position. Just how big of a piece do you think Terrence Ferguson is for Florida State in this upcoming season and their reload? They're ready for response. The tagline as the Rising Spear. Sorry, the battle's end says.
Really big. This guy that Alex Atkins had a previous relationship with. He knew him, so he knows the talent. He knows how the skill fits. That was a guy that I was told if he popped in there, that was a name to certainly, monitor pretty strongly. And I think he's a productive guy. It's going to help you, and it kind of addresses some things that they want to fix, where it's the interior or a center position guy. So I think it was very vital, and just adding more to. You got a lot of these guys returning. I think outside of Casey Roddick, majority of the offensive line is returning. So to add more pieces to that gives you more depth, more competition, more dudes. And this dude is a grown man. I see him when he arrived. He was probably one of the best looking offensive linemen I've seen as far as frame that you want, and certainly a guy that I know they were pretty high on once he hit the portal. So yeah, it was definitely a great ad for their interior.
I pulled the photo of him, but everyone's having to take your word for it as I scramble here. If you're watching us here on the video, I'm going to get to it. I promise. I'm not quick with the typing, but I've been better back in my day. But yeah, that looks like a guy that could start for you at the Division I level here, right? If you're competing for a playoff spot. So Terrence Ferguson, part of the fold. You mentioned the pre-existing condition, or rather pre-existing relationship. We don't want any pre-existing conditions here. We're not an insurance company, but the pre-existing relationship between he and Alex Atkins.
Yep.
When I saw Richie Leonard enter the portal, I was like, I wonder. And then when I saw there was mutual interest there, I'm like, well, shoot, is Alex going to do what Alex does? And Alex does what Alex does, and getting Richie Leonard. Just what do you remember about him when he was coming out of high school, Richie Leonard, and how much of that has he proven at this level, playing in the SEC, and can do it here for Florida State, do you think, Michael?
Yeah. I mean, his frame looked just. I mean, really, kind of what I thought it would look like. A little bigger than when I saw him when I was in high school and I was covering him in Cocoa, and he played with Kazai Holmes. For people that don't know, he mentioned that too in our interview. But he's a little bit bigger, but he's also been one of the bright spots for their offensive line. It hasn't been a bright spot a lot for their offensive line. We saw FSU really just beat them up in that game, especially late in the game. But overall, he's been one of the bright spots for that offensive line group. I believe he started. He's certainly going to bring a lot of productivity as far as having a proven guy that certainly can get in there and you feel comfortable with that he can do it. And there was a previous connection, I think, with how Richie felt about FSU early on. I would say in his high school career, FSU was the leader, but then it was an unproven thing. I think around that time, and Florida was a little more of a proven thing at that time. So I think that's why he ended up going that direction. But I think overall, he's always had high feelings about what FSU is as a whole as a program. But when the product starts matching the relationships and how you feel, it certainly changes things. And I think that several of these guys that they've added in the, I think they have 13 now, that the product has really sold them being able to get these talented transfers. It isn't just, hey, you're FSU and you've done well in the portal with previous guys. It's what you do on the field product wise, and what these guys are doing that are transfers certainly adds to that. But I think it's the product, and we've seen that with a lot of kids where they got Jalen Brown, where they got Malik Benson, or just guys that Marvin Jones Jr., where their product has really helped sell FSU to being an extremely attractive program to be a part of, whether you're high school or portal.
All right, then. Corey and I have talked about this on the pod. He's really excited about what Roydell Williams can be
Hmm.
for this program. Shout out Hueytown, treated
About that.
Florida State well in the past.
Yeah.
5'10", 214-pound running back. There had a little bit of a platoon going on there, and then he kind of gave way towards the end of the season. But being built the way he is, 5'10", 214 pounds, maybe a bit of a tough runner. Not that guys like Kazai and Lawrence aren't, but what kind of element do you think Roydell can bring to Florida State? And how did that sort of quick commitment and recruitment go about?
Yeah, I think he's the perfect fit for what they were kind of looking for, because you got Toa Philly, who can do a lot of different things, kind of a Swift Army knight that can kind of run between the tackles sometimes. Mostly you see him in space, where that really is where he excels. Certainly, because I can run between the tackles, but you didn't have that power guy that after initial contact, this guy just takes it to another level. Good, not great speed, but certainly he can go. And a guy that really reads blocks well. When you watch Roydell play, and like I said, this is a guy that I think David Johnson has known. Even even when he was at Alabama, I think he's a guy that he's known as far as a relationship, and then it just connected, and that was just the guy that I heard circled like immediately when he popped in the portal. I'd heard like, this is the guy they're focused on. And if you look at it, 500 yards, tough runner, physicality, because they want to have that of what they had with Trey. And he'll come in there and he'll help you a lot, and certainly be a big part of that running back room, which I think's now more complete. What you have, you also have, you bring in Jalen Lucas, who you can use at different ways of running the ball, and certain other guys that you can do. But I think it's just a great situation. I think for FSU to have a guy that's experienced, also on a great team. They count on him. I've even heard Alabama try to keep him there, even when you hit the portal. They were trying to convince him to not leave. So I think it's a big deal to get this kind of talent. I think he's going to add a lot to that running back room, and I think people should be really excited about this pickup. I think it's really one that I think impacts the team a lot.
Starting running back, lion's share of the carries, is the potential exists there, or do you think he's being brought in just to be part of like a platoon, multi-headed attack for sure?
I would think coming on, starting, I think he would be the guy that would be, probably a guy that gets more of the carries than not. But we'll see with the spring, when everything, he gets in there, and we'll see, kind of the fit. But that's kind of my projections, and I see he would get more of the carries. I think he's a guy that certainly can handle that, and he has, has nice feet, he's quick feet. I've said it before. He's very good after contact. That's what he does really well, and we saw that a lot of times where FSU would have these second and shorts and third and shorts, and Trey would get those big plays, and hit the big ones. And I think this guy is definitely capable of fitting that role. So that's why I think it's a big addition, because it rounds out your running back room, where you have a guy that can do a different skill set in just about every way. So I think this finishes it off for him.
All right, so we know that kids can still commit even though the portal window is kind of closed,
Yeah.
but that portal window is open still for guys from Washington, Alabama, Texas, Michigan that were in the playoff there. So you never want to say that they're done, but I'm going to ask you: Are they done, Michael, before the spring window starts?
You never know. It would be. I would lean more towards it. This is probably it, outside of a guy like Zion Young that I'm waiting on, that still hasn't made a decision. Defensive end from Michigan State, but there's nothing that keeps these guys from not committing to FSU. So there might be a guy that has a previous relationship, and he's like, you know what? I don't need to visit FSU. I've been there before. might jump in. It just you have to find the right guy that fits that. But I think overall, I would lean more towards it more likely being that we wait to go to that May 1st, May 15th through 15th window.
Hmm.
But you also have Arizona that could come in that picture with Jed Fish possibly being a guy that could be the Washington's next head coach. So
Hmm.
you could also have another team that enters that mix of players, and they might have some guys that maybe there's a previous relationship. So really, it's just the uncertainty of not knowing that of what guy it could be. I would say it's more likely that we don't see the activity until May, but like I said, certainly it could happen.
I know you're not in the meeting room with all the coaches, but you're close to it. Everybody's really panicked about linebacker. Coaches are
Yeah.
never going to be panicked. Um, do you sense like a level of urgency or an understanding that the staff has that linebacker is a position they need to address, or do they maybe not feel it's as big of a need as everybody that is in the comment section?
I think it's a strong need. I think there was a lot of urgency before the DJ Lundy situation went down. I think there was a lot of some fear, like, hey, we're gonna have to really hit this position. I do think Nakai Hill Green kid. I think eventually there's some stuff to work out, but I do think he's a possibility that you see added, late in spring, from what I've heard. So I think that's an addition that you could possibly potentially see. But I don't think there's because of them adding Lundy, it gives you a little more wiggle room as far as like, hey, they still need to add two more, but if they can get two more that are productive guys, I think it now. Let's assume you're getting Hill Green. Okay, that leaves you one. So then it's like, or if you want to add two more, then you can do that. But I think it's the DJ Lundy kind of relieves some pressure, but that's still a major need. It's still the biggest need that I see that they haven't really addressed from the portal yet. So it's something I think they consider pretty significant. But at the same time, I don't think there's a panic or like, hey, they're not going to get their guys. There's going to be guys in May that I feel comfortable that are going to be in there more likely. That I think FSU would be very attracted to. So I like I said, I think the DJ Lundy thing alleviates a little, but they still know there's work to do. But I think you can kind of sense that too in Mike Norvell's tweet when he put it out about DJ Lennon coming back. Hey, this is fun. Almost you could feel like, whew, yeah, that helps, type of thing. But I do think there's still work to do. Still think you need to get two more guys to really solidify that room to feel good. They might even get three. I don't know. But it really just depends on how bad they want to push it because we've seen it with Edge. We were always told like maybe two guys, and then they go in there and just go crazy and land a bunch of dudes and overload the position. So we could see them doing the same thing at linebacker where you're kind of overloading it so you're not putting so much pressure on Blake and Omar as being those guys into the following year. So I could see that doing, but right now I'd say probably adding two more.
Okay. Last thing on the way out, Michael. Appreciate you always, though.
Yep.
I mean, we've talked about it. The whole infractions that were handed down
Hmm.
from the NCAA in terms of the transfer recruit violations there with Alex Atkins, crazy, ridiculous, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But from a recruiting standpoint, the loss of the scholarships, that limited amount of time to be able to speak to guys during the spring May window for the
Yeah.
portal. Just your sort of thoughts on what it means. Big deal, no deal, small deal.
I'm never going to say nothing's a no deal, but I would say it's minor, personally. As far as it affected recruiting, I think that's it's a clear indication with why they wanted to get so many of these guys to get them in the fold. I think they maybe knew something potentially could come down, and I don't think even they thought it would be to this level of ridiculousness. But still, it is what it is. But I don't. I think it's a minor effect on recruiting. I don't think it really dramatically affects. It just affects just obviously you're not going to have Alex for 3 games, so I think it's more team oriented that it affects that more than it does I think recruiting.
All right. There you go. Michael Langston, the recruiting analyst, letting you know, the senior recruiting analyst from warchant.com. Michael, as always, man, we appreciate your time.
You got it, buddy.
Hit the thumbs up on the way out, everybody, please.